of pixel data versus first party data. So when I just put it in LinkedIn poll and WhatsApp groups, it had, okay, this is a controversial topic that you guys are talking about. So it was a pull that we had when we first addressed, okay, this is the webinar that we are going to talk about. And when I talk about data, we need a data expert. When I'm talking about an audience and I'm going to talk about tracking, when I'm going to talking about audience, I need an expert to talk about all these things. I need to talk about the tracking, I need to talk about the ad audiences, I need to talk about the ads manager, everything. So I need an expert. So when I talk about an expert, then here comes the expert and here comes the speaker of the day. And now I introduce the guest of the day, Vishnu Ankeyala, who is the founder and CEO of Custom Lab CDP and BFF of the most of the media buyers that's working around these ad platforms and all. Hi Vishnu, thank you for joining. Thank you for taking a time. Hi.
Hey guys, nice to meet you. I see a lot of very close names, close people down here. Thanks very much for joining in on your busy day, and I hope we'll make this entire 1 hour quite worthy of your time. Thanks, Hariga, for hosting me.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an extension of our discussion how we have in the demo calls and the client calls that we have. So thank you. I think it's all enough of introducing the topic itself. I think we should start with the heavy topic itself. And I'm going to ask you the first question, Vishnu. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I am.
All right. So very first question is what is that audience signals loss that ad platform is talking about? Google says send me the right audience signals, I will do the targeting by myself. Facebook says you just you send me the audience signals to me, I will understand the user behavior. They're saying you just give me the budget and creatives, I will do my job. What is all this loss of audience signals and what do they actually mean when they say loss of audience signals? Just give us a brief on the loss of audience signals the ad platforms are facing today.
Sure, I'll quickly give you an overview of what's happening in the ad world, and I'll also give you a bit of background so that you understand how we actually came up with this entire solution for customer labs. So I'm myself have been working on machine learning for a while, way back in 2008 or 2009, and the basic models, how it works is purely based on the data. So the data is very, very important to even predict something. And the basis of all these ad platforms is ideally through the data what we send and how much we can send. So there are two types of data now. So one is obviously the website data from all the other websites, not just your website, but all the other websites. And whenever you show an intent towards, let's say, women's apparel, and automatically the ad platforms picks that signal and start showing you other sort of ads. That is the very top level. So when you run your top of the funnel campaigns, the ad platforms tends to understand these signals from various websites and be able to tell this user might probably buy this and this user might probably buy this. This is how the top level works. On the bottom level, when it comes to your website, you have to start sending a lot of signals. When you say signals, these are basically like, okay, this person actually came to my website and this person has made this particular event, which is called view event, view content, or it can be view item in terms of Google Ads. This is the signal. When we send the signal back into these platforms, they have to associate whether it is Vishnu who had made the signal, or is this Pooja who made the signal, or is it Brad who made the signal, so that the Facebook could be able to understand Vishnu is a low value customer, whereas Brad or Chris is ideally a high value customer. So that is the signal. When the ad platforms don't get it, automatically the algorithm don't get optimized. So how better we would be able to send the signal and what are the parameters we have to include when we send the signal is the next steps to the problem.
Okay, I understand that. But if I have to backtrack a little bit, why is the craving of data, or we didn't hear about this send algorithm, the data, is it before? Like they didn't say send the train the algorithm. Those were not there. Like why all this buzz now? Send audience signals, send first party data, train the algorithm, all big words. Like, what is all this? Can you just simplify it even more?
See, it's again, what was happening since 2018 is this couple of big things happened, right? So one is the GDPR in 2018 got introduced, and the moment we had GDPR coming in, you have to get consent to use your data. And the moment GDPR started kicking in 2018, and slowly the iOS started releasing in 2020 April, and these platforms are making it very hard for the ad platforms to eventually get the data. So there's a huge loss in terms of what data these platforms get. So earlier, before 2020, the platforms were getting all kind of data, whichever the data they want, they were able to match it and associate that to the particular user. But since 2020, when the moment they stopped getting the data, automatically they are craving for more data, and how better you would be able to send the data is how they can perform. So that's how the entire loop gets closed. So the reason why they're not getting data is purely because of this regulation changes. Third party cookies going away. I mean, again, why third party cookies are going away? Because of the regulation changes and because of the iOS update. So that's how the entire loop gets closed.
All right. So when we say sending the right audience signals is the behaviors, is it? So the user behavior, the page view, all these the behaviors that you're talking about. So you say sending the right signals improves or helps Facebook to find the right customer who is going to buy, who is a good bad customer, all of that. So this eventually improves the EMQs or even match quality that we are talking about. Like,
Yeah.
how does
So just to give, I mean, I'll share my screen. Probably, I mean, since this entire audience here is a very close group of people, let me share some internal data we track to maintain how we manage these EMQs and stuff like that. So, for example, let me share my screen and let me know once it gets loaded to you guys. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Great. So we are a badged partner for Conversions API, and how Facebook measures our performance is through this particular dashboard. So we have about 183 active advertisers using Conversions API through our platform. And when we do it, what the even match quality is basically our average is around 7. So Facebook says 4 is the target threshold people should have. So when you want to become a batch partner, you should ideally have 4. But what Custom Labs is able to achieve is around 7. Why this is important is because when you send the signal back into Facebook, especially, so for example, look at this particular event. So all these two metrics are combined towards how good your data is. So almost 42.9 percentage of the data we are sending, which is nothing but the lower funnel event. The lower funnel event is not the page view, but the beyond the page view, something like add to cart, purchase. In B2B scenario, it could be lead, it could be an opportunity. Those are the standard events, what we should be able to send so that Facebook understands who is the best customer, who is not the best customer. And Facebook needs to understand who is the best customer. And you want to send this that event, it has to map this event to the right person. And that's what the event match quality score is all about. So seven is the score, is generally 6 is the score generally recommended by Facebook, especially for the lower event coverage. And for the anonymous users, we have about 5.2. So these two combinations will automatically be able to send more data, and that will eventually get you the right customers to your business. This is how the whole thing matches here.
All right. So this is how we create audiences on Facebook as well, right?
No, so audience is the second part of thing. The first part is obviously you have this match quality score, sending this data back into Facebook. So for what Facebook does on top of this is runs through a couple of things. One is your uh, who I have to show this ad so that you can maximize the overall value. That's the first step. And when you send this data to Facebook, Facebook would be able to predict who will buy, who will not buy. So this is the event which will help to teach Facebook who is going to buy or who is not going to buy, who is taking this down the funnel or lower funnel event, who is ready to buy, so who is very near to the purchasing event. So let's say, for example, you have initial checkout. So how many people would be able to take this purchase event? So that's the metric what this event match quality and the event does. But when it comes to audience, again, audience is purely based on who has came to my website, who did not buy. So that's the second scenario. The first step is this, which will train the algorithm. And the second step is, obviously, since we are able to collect this data, we can actually create those audiences and start retargeting them. That's the second part of the problem. So to put it much more simply, there are two sets. One is algorithm optimization. The best optimization is through this particular data. This is the first level. And the second level is reactivating those users. So these are the two steps of problem. And right now we are just speaking about the optimization. And yeah, we will also cover this retargeting side of the things as well.
How is that we are able to bring that maths quality score of 6 and 7? Like, like, what are we sending for Facebook algorithm to train that information actually?
Yeah, so what we do is there are two levels of events you might have understood by now. There are top funnel events and the bottom funnel events. And when you send this top funnel, when you send this both, any event is possible, obviously you will not have email address, first name, last name for the anonymous users. So when this an anonymous user, what we will do is we will get all the non-identifiable parameters. So like, for example, IP address, user agent, browser ID, and external ID is something we set from the customer app side. And based on the IP address, we also convert that into zip code, country, first name, city, state. And obviously, when you have an FB click ID, even this is not the first session, even if they had done or created a session 2 days ago or even a week ago, we'd be able to attach the Facebook click ID and send it back into Facebook. So these are the parameters. How many parameters you would be able to send will increase your even match quality to great.
All right. So these are the informations that we actually ideally need if we have to find that one good customer who is going to purchase from my website.
Absolutely. So the more we send, the better.
All right. Now, okay. Now,
And similarly, if you look at purchase, just one information. If you look at the purchase, we would be able to send a little bit more information on the user. For example, you will have better phone numbers, and if they are not using email as a mandatory field, you'll also have email, and you would be able to send better match rates, better parameters into the Facebook. So Facebook would be able to match this at 8.4.
okay, so now that I have a better event match quality, now I'll be able to target. So now I have trained my algorithm, is it? So my algorithm knows who will buy, who will not buy, who is likely to buy. All these I've trained now. So now I can maybe, like you say, I can target last 3, 4 months or 6 months maybe, and then target all of them. Create a bottom funnel events like ATC, initial checkout, everybody into an audience, and then start targeting them so that I know these are the intentful audiences. Is it? So I can target them and improve my sales. So that's something I think that we can ideally do.
No, so again, the overall Facebook doesn't work like that, right? So when you retarget these users, ideally, is it the questions, or are you talking about can we retarget the users and bring them back into the funnel? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so I know these guys added to cart. I know these guys initiated checkout, and I think okay when I nudge them again, like maybe last 3 months, again I give them some offer, 30% off on your cart, buy now, grab now. If I'm going to run, obviously that is better, right? Retargeting than again going back to the funnel, getting the top funnel. So I'm talking about the retargeting my last 3 months, 90 days visitors.
See, first of all, what happens is if you look at the Facebook data, the entire behavior data generally churns out every 28 days. So this behavior data basically works on algorithm called RFM. So what is the intent you're sending? So which we spoke in the first a few minutes ago. So whatever the data we're going to send, so this is the behavior data Facebook needs to prioritize your ads to the right person. So if you look at the actual how how this Facebook shows this particular ad to the particular person is basically based on these three parameters. The first parameter is obviously called as bid. So how much value you're ready to pay for that particular customer. And if I'm happy to pay 200 rupees or $200, it will automatically prioritize it. But not only bid primarily places a major role. These are all basically an equation. The equation will have to arrive at the final ranking factor. And the second is basically estimated action rates. Action rate is basically nothing but what is the probability of someone buying this particular product. So that is the estimated action rate. Again, Facebook might use multiple parameters through whatever the data they are able to collect, whether you are looking at high value products, whether you're looking at what is the number of products you have bought in the last 3 months or 6 months. So Facebook will have all this data, will definitely be able to understand whether this particular person will be able to buy $1,000 product or $100 product or $10 product. But the first party data, what happens is we'd be able to send this information back into Facebook through those events. So they will buy this particular product based on these events, and these events will influence this estimated action rate. So that's the step two. When you send this data, obviously now what happens is every 28 days the data is actually churning away. What you would generally do is you create an audience using custom audiences who has viewed my product in the last 30 days. Now, Facebook will accumulate this data. But now the problem is, if you don't have any behavior over 28 days or last 7 days, the Facebook will automatically don't start showing the ads. I'll tell you why. So now let's look at this particular campaign here. And let's look at this. So this is the first party audiences. So we have about 1.5 million to 1.8 million people. Now, the important factor, the controlling factor, I can definitely show my ad to 1.5 to 1.8 million people, but Facebook will not be able to show to 1.5 to 1.8 million people. So Facebook will be constrained by this budget. So this is a budget of, this is in rupees, but obviously if you convert it into dollars, it would be about 80 to $90 per day. And when you have constraint of the budget, Facebook has to come up with a ranking out of this 1.5 million people, who is going to buy, who is going to be these 16 converters who will be making this purchase. So to prioritize this, like I just mentioned, Facebook will take care of your bid. Facebook will also need this data and your ad quality. Ad quality, yes, there are multiple ways. I'm not going to dig deep into it, but this is the area, estimated action rates. So estimated action rates is influenced by your events. And now, if the user, if out of this 1.5 million people, or let's say you have created an audience who has came to your site in the last 90 days inside the Facebook, and if none of those users have made any event or any intent towards buying the last 28 days, Facebook will deprioritize them automatically because you have a set budget. So now that will be the problem. So the Facebook will keep on influencing your recent users, and your dynamic campaigns will keep on working. So retargeting campaigns will be keep on working for the most recent users, but the old users will automatically start going down. So if you look at your custom audiences numbers, if you do a map, on day 7 you may have 1,000, and day 20 it will still be 1,000. It won't be 3,000 or 4,000. And day 90, if you look at it, it will still be or maybe 3,000 or 4,000, depends on how many add to carts, how many initial checkers have. That will keep on dropping. This is the constraint what we have.
So the retention 180 days, 90 days, which I can have with the audiences, what is that?
It does. It does have the retention of 180 days, but like I said, there are two factors comes into play. One is obviously this budget will be limited, and the moment I limit my budget, whoever is going to make the purchase, I will automatically start showing ads. I'll show you another interesting data.
It's all alive and
So I don't know how many of you have started working on this Advantage Shopping Plus campaigns, And this is advantage shopping plus campaigns data. What do you see? If you're not controlling your budgets towards specific users, what advantage shopping plus campaigns will do in general is it will try to find new customers, and will also start allocating a lot of budget to your existing customers. And how does it know existing customers? Is through, we have few settings inside. We'd be able to push the data through, but you will start seeing more numbers coming from this. And the reason why it does is because we are this extra events. What happens in this, whoever is showing this high intent automatically will be shown a lot of ads, and your retargeting campaigns supposed to work, but then the advantage shopping plus campaigns will automatically start try to convert them. So whoever is going to buy, whoever is nearer to that purchase, which is like a goal, Facebook will automatically prioritize and start bringing those users into the funnel. So that's how they optimize or prioritize the ads to that particular person. Did I answer that question?
Partly, and now I think of another question as you say this. Okay, so like you say, Facebook has deprecates, like I'm not talking about deprecation, but Facebook has the data of the active users on your website, the last 28 days only active users. But you say that you will be able to bring all the 90, like what if I've not visited a website, really I've not visited the website in the last 30 days, and how is that, what technology makes the user or Facebook think that I visited the website yesterday? So how is it you are able to bring the 90 days data and Facebook isn't, though I'm sending all the audience signals possible? Like what is that actually happening? Just give us a brief, a layman terms and not the jargons.
So I have to reveal the secret then. But anyway, like I said, all everyone in this room is like either our customers or very few, and again we know them. So what happens in customer labs? What it does and why the match rates are high, why the conversion rates are high for these users? There are a few things we do here, right? So what happens is with customer labs, we'd be able to collect every single user coming and landing on the website. So any user who lands on the website, we can collect the data, and we'd be able to eventually capture it. And then right now, what we are doing is, let's say we are doing something like this. So added to cart, or uh, probably this. Okay, middle of the funnel, not purchased in the last few days, or added to cart, not purchased in the last few days. So let's assume we have these kind of data inside the customer labs. Now, what happens is whenever the segment refreshes, whenever we refresh the segment, we have all these people inside this particular segment, about 700,000 people. And out of the 700,000 people, every 15 days, we send an event to Facebook. So we send an event to Facebook every 15 days whenever you refresh this. And what happens in the background is we are actually sending an event to Facebook, which is basically I would say an activation event. It is not done by the user. He has not come to my site in the last 28 days. But what we are trying to do in the background is we are actually pushing this data into Facebook, this event, along with all the parameters we have collected. So as you see here, even this will have all the parameters, whichever we have been collecting, and we will push this information to Facebook. Now, Facebook automatically assumes it's an active user. Although it's not an high intent event, it still assumes it's a active user, and it will start prioritizing ads to this particular user. This is how we close the loop. So the inactive user who is not there on your site in the last 30 days will automatically become as an active user. So now we're telling Facebook, hey, Facebook, this is an active user. Can you start showing the ads? And automatically this score will be better for this particular user than your inactive users. And automatically the ads will trigger, and then the remaining metrics will follow through.
Can I say you're tricking Facebook here?
I don't use the word.
All right. I think just summarizing the last 20 minutes. So it is audience signals for the algorithm to train our website behavior, like what happens in my website, like who are my users, what are they like. So I give the audience signals to Facebook and I train them. And then you collect all the information. Also, you also have, I think the page and all is anonymous website visitors data, right? So
Yeah,
who is not given the PII. And you are able to send that activating event for those anonymous website visitors as well. It's not just the purchase data, but it's everybody on your website.
that's right. So every single user who made the purchase or did not make the purchase in the last 90 days or 180 days or even 365 days, we'll be able to send this event. And yeah, I mean, there are a couple of more advanced stuff we're going to do in uh, few more months to influence this. But yes, what you said is exactly right.
Okay, we'll come to the super advanced. Let me just process this information now and then we'll go to the advanced one. So now I think I should segregate my users based on the intent. So who are the high intent users and who are the low intent users. So now, like you said, I think I can create an segment for the high intent users and then I can reactivate them again so that I know that those guys are going to buy anyways. Is it?
Exactly. So you're going to use your business knowledge and the domain knowledge as well as your own experience. So what is the buying cycle? So what is the second purchase happens? So if the second purchase happens within 15 days, then you will say people who did not purchase in the last 15 days, can you bring them back into the funnel? Or if your business cycle, the second purchase cycle is 45 days, then I don't want to disturb my users for the next 45 days. But if someone is actually not coming back and purchasing in the last 60 days, can you bring them back? So you'll create multiple intent audiences. So who is near, who you know have browsed but did not buy, who has shown serious intent but did not buy. So people who comes and bounces off, we can leave them. We don't want to be included in the high intent audiences. But anyone who is coming and who is showing that intent, browsing through, they did not buy. They might be traveling in a bus. They might be talking to a friend, browsing through, and suddenly someone came in and they lost the session. And then your DP is still not able to bring them back. And then finally, you will use this high intent audiences and then bring them back. I mean, if you look at it, even if you spend money on the top of the funnel, especially for non new users, so people who are not new users to your brand, Facebook is still going to find the same person. But if you can actually train Facebook with those high intent audiences who have browsed several products, who has taken some action, and if you focus on those audiences, the conversion rates, especially the conversion rates, number of people coming to your website and number of people buying would be always higher, at least 2 times higher. That's what the data we are seeing.
I think those are the use cases coming up, and I think I'm just going to store that for the next session. But again, one thing, like how are the match rates like when compare, like using first party data? Like how is the match rates like if I'm going to send first party audience to Facebook when I'm comparing it with the pixel data or what the Facebook has? Like how are the match rates like ideally? Like how much can I expect?
See, bare minimum we can look at minimum of 50%. Let's say you're trying to activate 100,000 users. Bare minimum we could expect around 50 to 60,000 users. That's a bare minimum standard we can look at. But there are customers who are having 80 percent match rates as well, and there are customers who are having 30% match rates as well. We still haven't exactly figured why that mismatches, why this low for few customers, but we are definitely seeing on average, if you look at the number of the averages is around easily 50 to 60%. That's where we are at the moment.
Ideally, I think so. We 30 minutes of the session is over, and I think most of the Googled questions answers we've been solved. Like why is the loss for audience signals? How to improve the even match quality? How to improve the audience match rate? I think most of the Googled performance marketers questions have been asked. Now I think now I think we should go to the important part. Next part is the strategy. So now you have given me the tool, or you have given me the technology to track my website visitors data and activate all these things are there. Now let's create a scenario. Let's take I am a e-commerce marketer and I have a website, and Vishnu tell me I sell clothes. Okay, so I'm a fashion brand. Now tell me what happens, or what are the use cases, or how first party audience is going to influence my business in the longer run. Like, I know this is going to be the future, and I know that I just can't be relying on the pixel data and third party tracking. But what is the long run of first party audience influencing in my business? Like, how is all the ecosystem working?
Yeah, before answer this question, I do have I do see few people coming from the B2B background, so I just want to give a few use cases for them as well, and that would be helpful for them to understand. See, what you can do is similar to the lower funnel event coverage for e-commerce. You can also send your CRM events back into Facebook as well as into Google, and both of them generally uses this information to optimize. For example, not every lead is equal, and similarly, you need to send how many people are actually converting into a customer. And if you have a longer sales cycle, 7 days, 14 days or 45 days or 50 days, especially in a B2B scenario, you are not expecting Facebook to get this data after 45 days because it's a longer learning cycle. So what you have to do is, let's say you have a mid stages, let's say an opportunity stage, and you can move a lead to opportunity within 2 to 3 days. So if you have seen the opportunities, what you can definitely do is you will create lead, and the data will be sent to Facebook or Google. And then the next step is, the moment it becomes an opportunity inside your CRM, you should be able to feed the data back into Facebook and Google. So Facebook and Google definitely learns out of number of people who has become opportunities. So whatever the technology we are speaking, it's not just for the e-commerce, but also for the lead generation. If you guys wanted to have more information on what is that, how to do it, I'm going to drop this information inside the chat. So have a look at this. This will definitely help you guys to understand how this whole value-based bidding as well as this connecting CRM will help to improve the lead quality much further. Cool. So yeah, I mean,
Thank you. I was very much into the activation and all those things. Also, I just missed on the B2B. Thank you for picking the profession.
no worries, no worries. So let's look at how this whole thing pans out, right? So
Yeah.
the moment you have the connection inside your website, so what we are doing in the background is we are eventually collecting a lot of data about your users. So
So you're going to help to improve my business, is it?
yeah, that's the goal. But we'll start with technical stuff, but eventually I will
Yeah.
tell you how we come to that final conclusion. So what happens in the background is, every visitor, every single anonymous user, any visitor who is coming and landing on your website, we eventually pick them up. And when we pick them up, what happens in the background is we create an external ID for the user, and we map this external ID back into Facebook. So any user who lands will have a Facebook ID. Again, depends on the cookie consent. And any user who is landing will also have a custom apps ID. And then for Google ID. So any platform you are activating, we will be able to collect them. And we assign this ID in the background, and these IDs will be stored with us. And now, out of these users, we want to start targeting the high intent users. So what we want to do is we eventually want to go after the high intent users. In general, I would recommend just stick with few high intent users until you become comfortable with this technology, how to use this. Messaging is very important. What kind of ads you want to show to these people is important. So once you become this comfortable stage, you stick with these three audiences. So people who have purchased, not purchased in the last 90 days, but viewed products, people who added to the cart and not purchased in the last 30 days, 45 days. Like I said, depends on your cycle. And now activate these audiences inside the Facebook and start having your campaigns running. Again, you have to really figure out what actually brings them back into the funnel. So we can definitely show them the ad. We can activate them. Facebook will show the ad. Facebook will have the highest um CTRs for these people, but then it has to have right set of products and right set of messaging so that we can actually bring them back into the funnel. So once we create these audiences and once you create the campaigns, what we can actually do is we can start setting up. So in my general opinion, it's ideal to have um, custom labs as a separate campaign, especially for the first party audience. And you can create a separate campaign and start adding them into the funnel. So something, a separate ad set for this. And you will run only for these people, and you can exclude your event based audiences out of this. And from here, what happens is you will start bringing those users back into the funnel. So just to give you some metrics here, um, so this audience, we have about 1.8 million people. Out of 1.8 million people, if you look at the overall reach, we are reaching around 300,000 people, and we have an approximate uh, CTR would be around. So the approximate CTR is around 9.81. So that's about 33,000 people clicked on the link inside Facebook. Now, if we go and flip into customer labs, now let's look at how many people actually clicked and came. So we suggest using strong UTM parameters if you want to compare uh, the performance. And now I'm looking at number of people came. So this is for the month of 1st to 18th April. So static range, and this month, which is about 1st to 18th. Obviously, today is 18th, so it will pull all the data till 18th. So now we are looking at number of people clicked, a number of people landed using the UTM parameters. So we will have around, when I just last looked, we had around 20, 25, 26,000 people landed on this. Out of this, how many people have purchased? So we have around 727 people actually purchasing this data. So if you look at the quick uh, calculation, let me just open this up. So we had 25,500 people and 727 purchasing. So that's about 2.8 is the conversion uh, conversion rate for this high intent audiences. But if you look at the overall numbers, let's leave customer labs and let's look at the number of purchasers in this particular month. That's about 10,000 people. And if you look at number of page views, overall page views this month, we have around 1 million users so far. That's, let me copy this. I don't want to. So if you look at the conversion rate, that's about 1. So we have almost 2.5, 2.6% X of higher conversion rates. So this is how this high intent audience is generally uh, uh, outperform your normal conversion rate. And even if you look at the CPCs, you look at the ROAS, it always a little bit higher than the normal ones. So this audience is, so it is not, it will definitely impact around 7 to 10% of your revenue every single month. And that's what we are seeing across multiple ad accounts, especially in the e-commerce ones. And uh, any other metric. So the CPCs, cost per purchases and ROAS, we are also seeing good lifts on both of them as well.
Okay, so this is all by how you're going to send that activating event and then you bring them back to their DPA campaigns, right? So ultimately, you actually bring them all the high intent users whenever they have been visited. So this is how we are going to rekindle and bring them back to the funnel.
See, again, the activating event is the secret sauce. So that's the actual reason behind how we are enabling it. But there are definitely multiple factors, right? So starting from having higher EMQs, making sure we always have higher EMQs. Like I said, the average for us is around 7. So making sure that we always have higher EMQs. That's the important part. And second, all the audiences we have spent. So we have this 1 million users coming to our website. We just lost them. There is no way, no one is saving. So we are trying to replicate what Facebook is replicating. Facebook have this pixel and Facebook is reading this data. We are trying to keep these users intact in our database. And whenever we want, out of this 1 or 2 million people, we are simply sending this data back into Facebook. But again, would Facebook prioritize these users? They don't. So that event will help us to prioritize those events, prioritize those users to show the ads. So that's how we are trying to send this activating event back to Facebook. So activating event plays a major role in bringing those back users, high intent users into the funnel, because we are telling Facebook. So Facebook will decide whether I want to show advertiser A's ad to you or advertiser B's ad to you. And if advertiser A, if the user has visited advertiser A ad, so advertiser website, and Facebook will try to prioritize that particular ad. Your ad won't be shown to that particular user because your budget is always limited. And what we are trying to do with this activation event is, hey, this user actually came to my website. Can you prioritize my ad as well? I'll pay you 10 cents more, and Facebook will automatically prioritize your ad. That's how you're beating your competition there by showing that ad to this high intent audience. And these are high intent audiences because they have viewed multiple products and they have taken some action in your website, not just in the last 30 days, over the 90 days. So yeah, activation event is one thing, but it works out with all the other parameters as well.
That's brilliant. So this is about the retargeting audiences, right? So how these audiences are going to help my Advantage Shopping Plus campaigns for Facebook if I take, or my PMAX campaigns on Google? Like how this seed data is going to influence them, or is it just on the worked on the audience signals? Like just give us a small brief on those automation campaigns as well. Like how that works and what should ideally I be doing now?
Right. So I'll probably take you through a quick setup here. So when you have custom labs inside, it's very important that you are trying to add as many new customers into the funnel as possible, but not your old customers. So that's very, very important stuff you have to maintain. And when you go and look into this particular section, what you can do is you can tell Facebook, "Hey, Facebook, these are all my first-party audiences. Please don't prioritize them." And as you see, we are not only adding all purchasers, but we are also adding anonymous users into this particular audience, so that when you have these audiences sending those activation signals, running the DPA campaigns, you should be able to retarget them and convert them. But what you need is new people who has never been to your website in the last 6 months or last few months. That's the kind of people you want Facebook to bring them into the funnel. So you will set this first in the Shopping Plus campaigns, and then if you want to have more control, you can also set them as UTM_audience. How many new customers are coming? How many existing customers are coming? And once you have this, then you would be able to clearly map okay, these are my old customers, who old people who have visited my website in the last few months, and these are the people who has purely new users brought by the Facebook. So those control you'll have more with you on the shopping plus campaigns. And similarly, when it comes to Google, I don't know how many of you have actually looked into this, but this is. I mean, obviously, all these things is important signals, but this signal is also quite important for Google to learn. So you have to upload your audiences, not only the purchases, but also the high intent audiences. The more high intent audiences you actually push them back into your Google, Google would be able to understand them. Again, we can have a very deeper session on how to set up Google properly or for the performance max in the background. But just to give you some idea, these lists are going to be helpful for you guys to optimize or teach Google Ads how to learn about your customers as well. Not only the purchases, but also this.
Again, just again reiterating this particular question and answer is, even if Facebook says they will target it by themselves, just we should actually have the seed data on who to identify. That is what it means, right? So if they have to automate it and find the targeted or right audience, or the people who are likely to buy, so for that I should give them a seed audience. So I should give them the right audience signals like you meant, and also the audiences for again to train the algorithm to find that right guys, right prospects.
Yeah, so lookalike audiences is, I mean, would be the starting point. But again, you can create lookalike audiences based on small subsets or bigger subsets. So, for example, one of my customer understands, okay, they want to create lookalike audiences for the high value customers alone. So lookalike audience can be always be a seed audiences. I'm sure, 100% sure, all the people understand the lookalike audiences very, very well. But now, if you look at the performance max in Google, the similar audiences is going away. So you won't have the lookalike audiences anymore. But how the Google is going to learn is purely based on audience signals, and these audience signals will be, we can do audience signals in two ways. Like once I mentioned that based on the events, and the next audience signals will be the lists. So this is how we can control Google's learning.
Okay, I think was it too heavy for this last 45 minutes? I don't know. Vishnu, do you have everything in your tips? So can we just have a quick summary of 1, 2, 3, 4 of whatever the entire 40 minutes was there, so that next we can directly jump onto the Q&A from the viewers that we have now. So do you have quick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, I mean, we can. I mean, again, understanding the basics of algorithm is very, very important. So once you understand the basics of how the algorithm works, and that will help us to optimize what is the kind of data we can send back. So that is number one. And number two, first party data doesn't mean only the purchases. It also means anyone who's coming and visiting the website. That is data. Third, obviously, we want to have a lot of ways to activate those audiences, and we can definitely push those data back into users, and using that we'd be able to run or activate the users who has never been to our website. That's what we have in the third level.
Alcha. That's brilliant. Actually, I think even one more thing that I want to add is that it's just not these things alone, right? So we should also be knowing how to use all these things rightly to bring into the results. So you give me the audience signals, you give me the audience match, and now I should be able to strategize with those audiences and understand my user behavior, right? Like based on the intent, how I strategize with them, who I click the bring the lookalikes on, and who I target on, all these things. That was very interesting, and I think this is one of the interesting sessions that we have had. A lot of insights. I don't know if it was very heavy also. All right, guys, if it was very heavy, we are happy to re-clarify and revisit all those concepts again. So this is a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you can just drop in the chat, and then we can wrap it. So yeah, so question time. Shoot all your questions. Anything under the sky, right, no, Vishnu?
If you don't have, it's almost 10 o'clock in the evening. I'm happy to go to home.
Amazing. So yeah, any questions? You can just post it here and we'll be answering them.
Brilliant. Looks like there are no questions, and
Questions.
there are questions.
Yeah. One I have one in the poll once again. Okay, anonymous. How important is to collect anonymous website visitors data?
No, I just mentioned, right? So anonymous user data is also first party data. So it is as important as collecting your um, purchases data. And the more we have, especially the high intent side, the better we can uh, train the algorithms. So again, I don't want to repeat the entire session again, but
Yeah.
it's as important as your purchase data.
Okay, so the next question from West Weldon is all the audience numbers are different for each platform. How do we hold them accountable or true?
We cannot because that's black box and no one is going to answer. And click fraud, I'm not sure. I think there are a few other companies who are doing it. Definitely trackable. I don't recollect that click fraud company name on top of my mind, but definitely we can send out that name of the company. But yeah, I mean, those numbers we cannot. The reason is there's a pure black box. No one is going to give us the exact data. That's the that's why we have to start collecting our own numbers, and that will help. Again, if you look at top of the funnel, again we don't have any control. The only people who is coming to our website will have better control, but beyond that, literally no control.
But I trust customers' information more than Facebook and Google. That's lovely.
Thanks, Wes.
Also, Vishnu, in between, what is the roadmap for Custom Labs looking like? What are your next innovations, and what are your new features that you're working on? Like, what can we expect?
See, the vision is to automate every single thing out there and make custom labs as a strong ally to digital marketer. So any digital marketer out there should be able to uh, trust custom labs like their own wingman and be able to assist. So if they want to run a campaign, it should be able to give the maximum data. So the intelligence is something we are focusing on, and we're going to see a lot of intelligence based on the data we are collecting in coming months. And that layer will provide almost like an assistant for an additional marketing. So you don't have to think much. We will tell, okay, this will work, this will not work, this audience will work, this audience will not work. That would be this. That would be the next level for custom labs. I'm quite excited about that as well.
I think I'm quite excited. Let's talk about your super advanced features also. And again, we'll be like, okay, let me take some time and process that information right now. All right. I
Brilliant.
think that's the questions that I have. And it wasn't a heavy session. I think we should take one segment and then dig deeper on this and how, what, why, where, answer all these questions. And then again, getting into a talk like this. That's awesome. Integrating ML and AI into custom labs. Well done. Hey, thumbs up. Great. I think that's all. I think next month again we'll come into an interesting session like this. Thank you, Vishnu, for that was a brief insight, and then even I was able to understand being a layman of all these things. So that's brilliant. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for joining. And see you again with another topic with First Party Ad Bias Communities webinar. Again, good night, good evening, and have a wonderful night day. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.